Coming up on 5 Minute News. Trump indicted for espionage and conspiracy. Supreme Court rules in favor of black Alabama voters. And climate change is causing more turbulence during flights. It's Friday, June 9. I'm Anthony Davis. Former US President Donald Trump has been indicted by a federal grand jury for retaining classified government documents and obstruction of justice. The criminal case brought by the US Department of Justice amounts to another legal setback for Trump as he seeks to regain the US presidency next year. He already faces a criminal case in New York that is due to go to trial in March. Trump said on social media that he had been summoned to appear at the federal courthouse in Miami on Tuesday. "I am an innocent man," he wrote on his Truth Social platform. The Justice Department did not immediately publicly confirm the indictment, but sources said Trump's team had been informed that he'd been indicted on 7 counts and that prosecutors had contacted lawyers to advise them of the indictment shortly before Trump announced it himself on his Truth Social platform. Within 20 minutes of his announcement, Trump, who said he was due in court Tuesday afternoon, had begun fundraising off of it for his 2024 presidential campaign. The case adds to deepening legal jeopardy for Trump, who has already been indicted in New York and faces additional investigations in Washington and Atlanta that also could lead to criminal charges. As the prosecution moves forward, it will pit Trump's claims of sweeping executive power against Attorney General Merrick Garland's oft-stated mantra that no person, including the former commander-in-chief, should be regarded as above the law. The Supreme Court on Thursday issued a surprising 5-4 ruling in favor of black voters in a congressional redistricting case from Alabama, with 2 conservative justices joining liberals in rejecting a Republican-led effort to weaken a landmark voting rights law. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh aligned with the court's liberals in affirming a lower court ruling that found a likely violation of the Voting Rights Act in an Alabama congressional map, with just 1 majority black seat out of 7 districts in a state where more than 1 in 4 residents is black. The state will now have to draw a new map for next year's elections. The decision was keenly anticipated for its potential effect on control of the closely divided U.S. House of Representatives. Because of the ruling, new maps are likely in Alabama and Louisiana that could allow Democratic-leaning black voters to elect their preferred candidates in 2 more congressional districts. The outcome was unexpected in that the court had allowed the challenged Alabama map to be used for the 2022 elections, and in arguments last October, the justices appeared willing to make it harder to challenge redistricting plans as racially discriminatory under the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Attorney General Merrick Garland applauded the ruling. Today's decision rejects efforts to further erode fundamental voting rights protections and preserves the principle that in the United States, all eligible voters must be able to exercise their constitutional right to vote, free from discrimination based on their race. The climate crisis is leading to more turbulence during flights, driving up costs and increasing the risks for passengers and crew, according to new research. The study found that warmer air caused by carbon emissions is creating bumpier flights around the world, with severe turbulence in the North Atlantic up 55% since 1979. The study's co-author, Mark Prosser from the University of Reading, said every additional minute spent traveling through turbulence increased the wear and tear on an aircraft, as well as the risk of injuries to passengers and flight attendants. Turbulence makes flights bumpy and can occasionally be dangerous. Airlines will need to start thinking about how they will manage the increased turbulence, as it costs the industry $150 to $500 million annually in the USA alone. Previous studies have suggested that a climate that is heating up could increase turbulence. But Professor Paul Williams, an atmospheric scientist at the University of Reading and co-author of the research, said it was the first evidence that it was already happening. The rapidly changing climate is already known to be affecting air travel. A faster jet stream across the Atlantic is increasing travel times, and rising temperatures are reducing the weight aircraft can carry. At the same time, carbon emissions from aviation are a significant driver of the climate crisis. The authors said that while the US and North Atlantic had experienced the largest increases, other busy flight routes over Europe, the Middle East, and the South Atlantic also recorded significant increases in turbulence. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health, and climate, delivering independent, unbiased, and essential world news daily.